Hi everyone, this is Tony. I'm the Dungeon Master for D&D Raw, and with me today are the following players.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'll be playing Auric Fireforge, the Hill Dwarf Forge Cleric.
Hey, I'm Rachel, and I'm playing Dahlia Restrick, the Asimar Phoenix Sorcerer.
Hey, this is Nick, and I will be playing Leuven Cromdell, the Half-Elf Alchemist Artificer.
Next week will be one of our NPC stories. Join us now for Rumble Squad Episode 2-5. This city won't leave us alone. Last time, the party completed the final challenge in order to meet Zaratan and claim the soul of the earth. Finally arriving home from the plane of elemental earth, the party must now decide what to do next.
So, you guys returned from the plane of elemental earth, a little tired, bit sore, but successful in your endeavor. Boulder is asleep by the time you guys get there, so I know you all wanted to rest up, having been a little beaten up. Arms are still a little heavy from all that climbing that you did earlier. That definitely wasn't the norm for all of you to be climbing 200 feet up a rock wall. But you are all able to take a long rest and wake up to a bright and shiny day. The day is yours. What would you like to do?
I know Dahlia would not want to get out of bed. Probably still sore from the day before.
I'd probably be up first. I'd have gone to the cart so as not to disturb the others. I'd have started tinkering around just with some random stuff. Okay, then I pull out one of my rationed letters because I've had to make these things stretch and last during my time here in the Rigorum. I pull out this one that kind of caught me off guard before we left for this latest trip of ours that I didn't remember seeing, and it is unopened. And I open it. A few minutes go by, I read it again, my mouth goes a little slack-jawed, I touch the thunderphone at my chest. Rumble Squad team meeting in 10 minutes, please, in the cart, thank you. Turn it off.
So how loud was that?
Oh, it's loud. It's very loud.
Just like, clutch my hammer. We're going to have words about that, Leuven.
Coming out, my hair is probably just like a mess. And I walk out with fire like bubbling in my hand. I'm like, Leuven, better be important.
You see the Boulder a little ways in the distance just looking over. Like, little smile, but small head shake, just like, oh, you children. So, the party is gathered by the cart.
When you arrive, you actually find me in formal wear that you don't ever remember me having. I just used to disguise self on myself.
Some nice duds Leuven's got on. Really nice.
I'm standing right outside the cart with like, both my hands are just kind of down at my side with like fire like simmering in them like, Leuven, explain.
So better be important. Nearly scared the daylights out of us.
Good morning, team. Important meeting. One of my pen pals reached out to me with a letter, and they used a special expedited service option to do it. I received it right before we went through Boulder's portal, and there wasn't any time for me to read it, so I just stuffed it in with the rest of the letters, but I remembered this one being out of place, like I didn't remember having it before. I can't even begin to tell you how expensive and irregular this kind of correspondence is. It got delivered to me outside of the network range, directly. Magic had to have been involved. So I just read it. This person asked me to keep their secret about certain parts of the letter. Ever since what happened with Vashti, I'm trying to take that sort of thing more seriously, but I also trust you a lot, so this is my middle ground. I can tell you this letter is from one of my favorite pen pals, present company excluded, of course, and I wink in Dahlia's direction.
Still sitting there smoldering.
Look, I trust these pen pals implicitly, just as I trust you. But let's just say I learned more about this person than I knew before, and I found out that they are very well connected. They seem like a reliable source, so here's the passage that I can share from the letter. I know more about what's been going on in the Rigorum than I have shared. I was saddened to hear about your run-in with the old Fae. The letter actually uses the real name, which was interesting. And the stress it put you through. However, that information was enormously helpful. The old Fae no longer controls the people of Isenthias. I can't tell you how I know, but I can trust that information with a high degree of certainty. What you did helped draw her out. I don't think her plans are done for good, but she has moved on and those people are free. I trust you will keep my secret private between the two of us, and we can go forward as more than just pen pals, but as partners in finding ways to help those who need it. I hope I can provide more information you need going forward. Well, I mean, you know who my favorites are. I mean, of course you, Dahlia. There's Borin, Isaac, Robin, Schult, Vel, of course my sister Tethys.
So someone within that list is what he's saying gave him this letter.
So I just wanted you to know that Isenthias is free, and technically we can even go back there. We can check on A, make sure that people are doing okay after being free. B, I wouldn't mind seeing if it's possible to make sure that the focus is actually gone, if possible, I don't know. C, I mean, you've never seen it, Dahlia. They really know how to party.
Partying is good, but they're not a trade city.
Well, they trade, they barter. D, Auric, you do have your mentee there that you've been teaching about forging, and figured you want to check in. Plus, I wouldn't mind seeing Salazar again.
Adriel is there and hopefully continuing her lessons. But we'd have no idea what the focus even was.
Nope, no clue. I'd like to know.
It seems like a very risky proposition. What assurances do we have that the old Fae isn't actually there?
Reliable information.
I trust you, Leuven, but this seems very risky.
I'm not going to pretend this isn't personal for me, after what she did.
But if she's not there, why would you want to go there? If it's personal, wouldn't you want to go after her, not to the town?
Making sure she can never come back.
Could be temporary, though.
If the focus is gone, it'd be that much harder.
I never met her, so I don't know how powerful it is, but if she's pretty powerful, what's to stop her from making a new focus and just popping back in like, hey, back for old time's sake?
She is quite powerful.
Boulder's kind of like wandered over a little bit. If you are speaking of Bai, then she could create a new focus, but that would take time, energy, and she would have to physically be here.
Are you able to sense that kind of thing, or only if it's on your lands?
On my lands. As with all guardians, we only sense what's on our lands. I can send messengers out, but it would not prove anything, as she is very, very good at remaining hidden. However, if she is not there, there are people that would have gaps in their memories or remember being controlled. If there was anyone you knew that was actively controlled, that would be a place to start to check.
How would one even go about finding a focus like that?
Usually it gives off a powerful, magical aura of enchantment.
And from what we understand, she had been in control of that city for quite some time. I wonder if there might just be sympathizers of her there.
Anything's possible. Did you see any evidence of that?
There were folks from the Feywild there who chased us through the Rigorum, but whether or not they'd still be there when she's not, I have no way of knowing.
I would be intrigued to learn if it is true. It would be one less threat to concern myself with, but that's not something you need to deal with right away.
Yeah, if you all need time to think it over, that's fine, and if you say no, I'll accept that. I just wanted to share the information I had.
Alternatively, I don't know your friend Vashti too well, but would she be able to know? If we could just go to the edge of the woods and ask her, maybe she would know.
True, I would like to make sure she's doing okay.
I think she tries to stay away from that area as much as possible.
But if she's sensed that the power is gone, if the focus is gone and broken, maybe she can get closer. And then we wouldn't have to travel all the way over, because... And I'll do, like, a hand motion to Boulder. The Guardians are all powerful and stuff. They can sense things, so wouldn't she be able to sense if that focus is gone?
Do we have any idea of when she left or when she might return?
It had something to do with us, so it could even have been shortly after we left, but sometime between when we left and now. And as to when she'll return, it seems like she's not in any hurry to, based on the wording of the letter, but that's all inference and assumption. I acknowledge that.
We may need some time to think about this, Leuven. There were some tasks I wanted to complete with the forge that we built before we head out on the road.
Oh, believe me, I've got some stuff I can do as well. This is such a perfect opportunity to gather more ingredients. There's stuff I want to experiment with. Yeah, take all the time you need. I'll do the same.
I literally can't do anything here besides try to not burn the place down.
That is appreciated. Thank you.
Tell you what, if you want to make yourself useful, you can help light the forge.
That'll take like 3 seconds. What am I supposed to do with the other 24 hours of the day?
Would you like to practice your skills? I could create a testing ground that might encompass your capabilities
I'd be free to burn whatever I want.
within the area.
Just a big smile like, okay.
Well, I assume you will be taking some time then here.
I guess.
Very well.
Thanks so much for having us, Boulder.
You are always welcome on my lands.
Boulder, I wanted to ask you something.
Yes.
While we were in the plane of elemental earth, we had talked to Zaraton. I know you had said initially that you didn't have any mithril on your lands. Would you happen to know where in this vast world we might be able to find some?
It's entirely possible there is some area within the Regorum that has a deposit, but it is a rare material. I know there are some mountains far to the north. It would take several days, possibly a week to travel. It could be something there. Borders the Regorum itself.
And you think that that might be a location that could have some?
It's possible. Mithril is usually found in mines underground. It could be there. That is a high area of potential mineral deposits. So the Lady of Spirits once told me.
Probably waddle over to my bag, pull out one of my books that has several maps in it, flip go and be like, here. We're gonna give or take here, and point into the map.
I've never been there myself, but with my recently proven mountain climbing skills, I'm sure we could track it. And I do a noodly armed flex.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. I assume you were successful in acquiring it.
Aye. We have the soul of the earth. I'll take it out of the bag and just kind of show it off a little.
So when you take it out, you notice it has a slight glow that it starts to emit, a purplish glow, which also resonates in Boulder's eyes. Have you studied it?
I figured it was a gem. Why, is there more to it?
It is, but it has magical powers. I've had time to learn how to use those to my benefit, but now we have a connection.
I see.
I go into a deep meditative trance once a week on a Cilia. All of you know Cilia is the first day of the week. If you spend 10 minutes focusing on the crystal, you can come speak with me. No matter where you are, your minds and spirits will be projected into my demiplane. So should there be any questions you might have of me, or if you just, and he turns to you, Leuven, wish to talk,
You know it.
I can hold the connection for about 10 minutes.
Would our bodies be vulnerable at that time?
You would be aware of what is going on around you, and you can always be jettisoned back. It's similar to, I've heard, how elves trance. In addition to that, once every day, you could feel a bit hardier if you utilize some of his power.
I see. Can I just take 10 minutes and cast Identify on it as a ritual?
Yep. So, once per 10 days, on the first day of the week, you can meditate on the soul of the earth and mentally enter an earthen demiplane to communicate with Boulder. In addition, once per day, you can activate the power of the soul of the earth, and up to 4 creatures can gain 5 temp HP. That lasts until a long rest.
Is that as an action?
1 minute to activate the effect. Up to 4 creatures within 30 feet of the gem. Auric, you sense also there may be additional properties to this, but it seems incomplete, and that's why you're unable to get what they are.
Even with an Identify?
Yes. You sense there are things that could be unlocked with the gem.
It's interesting. It's a little hazy, but there seems like there could be more to it, but it's not revealing itself to me.
Yes, I have a particular connection to the earth itself, and I believe that's why I may have learned how to manufacture this demiplane. Perhaps it's something you could do as well, at some point. So the plan is to do some downtime after this, or is there anything else you guys want to talk to Boulder about?
Making me a place I can burn stuff without getting in trouble.
It'll take him the majority of the day. He can set aside an area that's like 200 feet across at any given point, so that you can just unleash. What he'll do is create mounds that rise up to like indicate targets. He can basically shape it using earth to whatever specification you ask him to do. Leuven, what is your priority?
Priority number 1, I had started doing this before we went off on our most recent trek. I was gathering materials for armor +1.
Okay, so you want to keep doing that?
Yes, please.
Auric, what is your priority?
I want to finish at least crafting the materials for this splint mail, and if I can, begin the actual assembly of it.
So I will tell you, you will be able to get 6 days before something happens. So, Auric, you are able to finish preparing the materials for your splint mail and are actually starting to put it together. Each of the pieces lining up, melding them into place, and are a good chunk of the way into crafting your armor. Leuven, you are able to finish gathering the necessary components in order to attempt to create an armor +1, to enchant some piece of armor that you will need to have with you for the entirety of the time that you do it, at any point you're crafting, to enchant the armor. But you guys make some progress. You have the materials you need to begin the enchantments you need, Leuven. And as you awaken on the 7th day, preparing to continue your work, you see, particularly, you, Auric, notice a large plume of black smoke to the north.
Would I be able to judge the distance and think that maybe that's coming from Isenthias?
Yeah. Based off of where it is, seems likely.
By Yadamin's beard, this city won't leave us alone. I'll try and gather up everyone and point it out.
Based on my knowledge of fire and smoke, I can guess something's burning.
That's a big fire.
Yeah, it's a lot of fire.
My eyes go wide. We need to go help them now.
As much as I am loath to go back to that place, I can't turn a blind eye to people in need.
Yeah, I don't know them, but I'll come along. I'm really good with fire, so...
And, saving people would make some valuable business connections for you. I know it's not the typical kind of business, but I think you'll get something out of this. Let's go.
You guys begin your trek. As you are leaving, Boulder will I will continue to watch Anvil for you. Please inform me as quickly as possible how everything is over there and if people are all right.
Are you able to send maybe some messengers ahead to scout it out, and if they're able to then report to us what they see, so we're not going in blind?
I can send messengers ahead. I don't know if they can report to you on what they see. It would most likely, by the time you get there, they would have had to travel there, travel back to me, and then travel to you.
Leuven, how far away from you can Cloudfarer be?
There's no limit. There's a limit to certain capabilities, but no limit otherwise.
Leuven, does it have the capability to scout ahead and report back?
Cloudfarer is not very fast. It'd be just as fast for us to go.
Alright, let's go then.
Alright.
So, Leuven, what elixirs do you have with you today?
An elixir of boldness and an elixir of flight.
Okay. So you guys are proceeding along through the forest. It has been quite some time since you have been back to Isenthias. But you are traversing through the quiet wooded area that begins to thicken as you leave Boulder's territory. And all the way you see that column of smoke. Takes you guys a few hours till eventually you notice ahead of you the city of Isenthias. The smoke is no longer dark black anymore. There is still a smoke rising from it, and you are able to tell spots of flame ahead. This city hangs in and between the trees by this large lake. Before there was a calm, peaceful area, but there are elves, gnomes, furbolgs, tabaxi, and half-orc that are scurrying from place to place along these spiraling stairs, across sturdy wooden bridges, and these trees are just swaying, you can see, from the amount of movement that is going on above you. Currently, the platform that raises and lowers is on the forest floor.
Do a lot of buildings appear to be on fire? Or charred?
Make a perception check.
11.
There are a lot of people moving around. There's some smoke. It's hard to tell specifically. Not from this distance, anyways.
I'm moving toward that platform to get raised in.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
As we're getting on it, I was wondering if I could basically kind of levitate a blob of water to bring up with us. Shape water.
I don't see why not. Basically, you can have water with you, or you can freeze it temporarily and just have it there so you can unfreeze and you reuse it.
Okay. Well, I'm at the lake. Grab some water.
And it's not far from the lower, especially from the lower bridges to the lake. It's 15, 20 feet. But you guys get on the platform.
as we're getting onto it, inspect it to make sure that it still looks structurally sound, that it hasn't been, like, charred or anything.
Roll investigation.
8?
Looks sturdy.
All right.
There's the rope that's dangling there.
I tug on it.
You hear the click, click, click as you start to move upwards. You guys slowly ascend, and you hear, like, cries of, water over here! Get the fire out! We have to put it out! Coming up, there's a bit of smoke. It's definitely not as much as it seemed from the distance you're at, so either they've dealt with a lot of it, or what, but basically there's some smoke. You see a couple of buildings on fire still, like, have some flames to them. Where are you headed?
Is there a group of people with buckets?
Not nearby. There's some that you see, like, moving kind of off in the distance, closer to the lake itself. It seems like they're using the rigging that they usually use to raise and lower boats to help move water up.
Because I would try to get the water to people who can start taking it out to wherever they need.
Oh, you can get them to people, yeah. So I'll say, like, you see a couple of people off by, like, the stables to your right toss some water onto the flames, and it lowers a little bit, and you see them, like, starting to go to run away with buckets in hand.
I walk over, start doling out the water basically into a space that they can start using it as they need to.
Okay. We'll say you have 2 effects going right now that you're holding 2 bits of water. So you give them one and, like, toss the other one on. Thank you. And they'll turn and, like, look at you confused but appreciative, and then toss more water to help lower the flames on the stables.
Tony, does it seem like the townspeople are well organized in their handling of this crisis, or would a bird's eye view with perhaps a loud object be of some assistance?
It looks a little bit chaotic.
Okay, so I drink my potion of flying, and I continue to rise until I'm, a good at least 20 or 30 feet above the highest rooftop.
You're just hitting the lower branches of the trees, but still keeping in view the city itself. So make 2 checks for me. A perception check and a persuasion check.
As I'm rising, by the way, I do want to activate Enhance Ability on myself. Specifically, the feature that I want to use is Eagle's Splendor, which gives me advantage on charisma checks.
Okay.
Okay, so perception check first. 12. And persuasion with advantage. That's an 18.
You rise up, start to look around. You notice not a lot of fires. Seem pretty small. A couple of different spaces. Tap your little gear necklace.
Hello, we're a group of travelers here to help. I'm up in the air to help assist. I see a fire over by the Dazzling Knife. Oh, also the Adapt Book and the stables.
I would be interested in going to the one at the Dazzling Knife first.
Dahlia, you see Auric making a beeline past you down the bridges and start to head in a direction.
I'm already here fighting this fire by the stables, right?
Yep, that is what you're currently doing. So pulling water into the stable.
Water, and then when I'm out of water, I'm just control flame, snuffing it out as fast as I can.
You are snuffing out the flames fairly quickly. You get them to the point where they're not reigniting the same areas as you are moving through the stables. Again, the fire is doing some damage, but it's not crazy. Building looks like it'll easily stay intact. Auric, so you make a beeline to the Dazzling Knife. You notice some flames kind of licking the side of the building. There's some coming out through one of the open windows there, and you can just see on the inside, Adriel is using whatever water she can get to, like, start to put this out. She's dousing it with sand or dust or dirt or something to help out, trying to kill the oxygen around the fire.
Does it look like she's in any immediate danger?
She's getting some help from people, but the fire hasn't really lessened in the time that it took you to get over here. At least not much.
Gotcha. I would like to go over there and try and aid in the stamping out the fire.
Okay. In general, go ahead and make an athletics check.
That's a total of 25.
You seem to be able to jump into the fire at points to stomp it out and press your hands to it. Only because of your resistance, you take no damage from the heat of this intense flames. But after a few minutes, the fire is dying down. You notice some scorch marks on the walls. You can see a couple of points that it's weak, but it seems the building will remain intact by the time you're done. When you initially arrive on the scene, Adriel goes wide-eyed and is just like, "Oh, Auric."
Nobody endangers the smithy.
Over the next few minutes, you guys are putting the flames out. It seems most of the other ones have been contained due to some good direction. Though some of the fires do spread in a couple other areas, because of the quick reactions and pointing out of several of the stronger ones that Leuven did notice, and people listening to him, the fire is eventually put out. By about the time that you are able to land on the platform, Leuven, you can tell that there's a couple other flames in the distance, but it seems like things are under control by this point.
We've just about got it. Everyone give yourselves a round of applause. Good job.
And then I turned it off.
So as the flames kind of gone out, Auric, I'm going to go to you because Adriel is right there. She is drenched in sweat. As a general reminder, she cropped straight auburn hair, brown eyes, elven woman. She just, Auric, what happened to you?
We had to leave here in a hurry. We can get to that at a later point, but what happened here with all the fire?
She kind of looks around. It was all of a sudden, suddenly flames started to erupt from some of the buildings, but our savior had arrived to help us with the majority of it.
Who's that?
You haven't been here in, oh goodness, it's been more than a month. He arrived not too long after your disappearance when your Staff Federation friends came. An angel. He was beautiful. He came down and snuffed out the flames. Look, and she gestures towards one of the buildings that looks unharmed. In the use of his powers, he restored it even. There was so much fire here. He did what he could, but he's always asked us to not praise him, and he is just trying to help. We do not even know our hero's name, but he helped to save the town on several occasions.
Does he live in town?
No, he swoops in, stops the threat, and disappears just as quickly. Leuven, you wanted to do an investigation of the source of the flames?
Yes, if possible.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check. That will take you a good deal of time, though.
Sure.
Dahlia, what are you up to as the flames are now under control and being put out?
I'm probably starting to just assess things around to see what's been burnt. If there's anything that's like significantly, about to crumble or something, just be like, hey, you should stay away from that. Anything that's smaller and I can either just like prestidigitation clean or whatever, I would start doing that as well. Like just little things.
Okay. Also roll an investigation check.
9.
You are very focused on the stables, watching a couple parts. You might be prestidigitation something that might be a little bit too wrecked at times, but it looks clean, so it's probably fine.
Probably. I'm not an architect.
Auric, is there anything else you would like to be doing?
So you said the flames came up suddenly. Was it all at once everywhere, or did it start cropping up one building at a time?
Well, at first it was one building here, another one there. We were focused on dealing with that. Our savior came and started to put them out and deal with them quickly. But then, again, fires began to creep out of nowhere and buildings began to catch. I do not know where our savior is, but he saved many lives and many homes today, as he has done in the past.
And how did he put out the flames? Was it through magical means?
Yes, he directed his hand towards it. His wings and hand glowed white, and it seemed to lift the flames off of the homes, the buildings, the shops.
Would I know by her description if this is similar to what Dahlia does?
Roll an Arcana check.
10?
Could be.
Did you see anyone suspicious about? Flames don't typically light themselves.
No, not that I saw. It seemed to come out of nowhere.
Very peculiar. Can I do any kind of Arcana check to see if there's, on like the remnants of the flames, to see if I might get an idea of if they were magical in origin?
That's an investigation check.
12?
Looking at it, there are scorch marks. Whatever it is happened quickly. Beyond that, it's hard to tell what helped to start it. As Auric's inspecting, like trying to figure all of this out, as Dahlia is cleaning up the stables. Leuven, what was your investigation check?
21.
So, we'll say over the course of almost an hour, you're looking from point to point. You ask a couple people like, oh, what was on fire, so you can take a look at it. Some places they said were on fire have no scorch marks at all. No indication whatsoever that there was any fire here. Others are damaged, and the way that it's damaged seems to have literally come from nowhere, indicating maybe an attack of some sort. You look a little bit closer, and as you look at the scorch mark, there's something nagging at the back of your mind as to how this started. And then it hit you. Lightning. Electricity hit this. You remember from Boulder used a spell, and you saw the scorch marks at the end of the battle. So whatever this was, seemed to be some sort of electricity that hit it.
I think whoever's around and who's been helping me and letting me into their establishments.
Oh, of course, Leuven.
Yeah, I gotta get back to my companions here. That's not normal. That's some powerful electricity. Yeah, I'll see you later. I wave, and I'm booking it. I'm trying to find Oric and Dahlia.
So you are booking it to get to Oric and Dahlia when you nearly bump into a half-elven man, bald head and blue eyes and rough copper skin that is very familiar to you, Leuven. As Avelios kind of... Leuven.
Avelios! I take a half step back, just kind of subconsciously.
He kind of started to take a half step forward to kind of like hold your hand, and he stops when he sees you do that. I don't blame you. I get it.
What do you remember of that?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the problem when you're paranoid and looking over your shoulder all the time and not knowing, but everything. I can say it wasn't my fault, all I want. I can say I was being controlled, all I want. And while true, that doesn't make it any better, I know. So all I'll say is I'm sorry for whatever I did.
It wasn't you. Not really. I'm not angry at you. I guess I'm angry, but not at you. If anything, it hurt. But it's not your fault. Look, as long as you're telling me you're not controlled now and you're not going to attack us again...
She's gone.
Okay.
I don't feel that looking over my shoulder sensation of someone watching me all the time anymore. I think she's gone.
That was your paranoia?
Did you think I constantly thought I was being watched because reasons? I always felt like someone was watching me. Someone that wasn't just, someone I could see.
But no one else had that experience that we met. How were you more in tune than anyone else about it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a newer acquisition. Or I was.
Well, I finished the Thunderphone.
He kind of loses all sense of nervousness and kind of takes a step forward and just takes a closer look at it. Oh, so you got around and utilized the thaumaturgy and focused on the individual aspects of it in order to actually craft the ability to amplify your voice.
Yeah, did you hear that yelling later while the fires were being put out from above?
Oh, that was you. Okay, thank you so much for helping to direct people, because I know that was a big problem. I thought I recognized your voice, but it was really loud. So it's a fantastic modification.
It feels so good to do something to help Isenthians. I mean, I felt so helpless ever since we were chased out.
Dahlia, by about this point, as you're kind of leaving the stables and all that, you do notice Leuven talking to somebody.
I'll start waddling slowly over there.
Oh, hello.
Hey, I'm Dahlia.
Avelios, are you new to town? And he offers his hand.
Yeah, I'd thumb over to Leuven with my other hand, be like, came in with this guy.
Yeah, we're related.
Oh.
Big cheesy grin.
Okay. Yeah.
This is Avelios, another artificer.
Yeah, I do some work out here.
He was controlled, but now he's not, so that's cool.
Okay. Kind of giving Leuven a look, almost of the, are you sure? How do you know?
I meet your eyes, I give you this dead serious look with, a knowing nod.
Where's Oric?
I was coming to try and find you both.
Oh, Oric's here, too?
Somewhere. Probably playing at the smithy.
I guess that makes sense. He was there a lot. All the time that I knew him. Anyways, I'm glad I at least got to see you again, Leuven. I should go help out Kiana, but...
I hope we can talk again before we have to leave town.
Yeah, find me at the Big Child. I'll be there.
Is everyone okay, as far as you know?
I was gonna go double check to confirm. I wasn't actually there when all this started.
Alright, fair enough. We'll see you later.
Yeah, Isona and Kihana, I think, should be fine. I guess I'm also checking on Felver and Remy, who I know weren't home either, but anyways, bye. And I'm sorry again.
I forgive you.
You see a kind of sad smile, and he proceeds on.
Take a deep breath. Okay, so I was running to try and find you both. I figured out kind of what caused all these fires.
That's good. I don't know where the smithy is, so I'm just gonna follow you.
This way. I start actually running again.
Always in a hurry.
Dahlia, walking across some of the actual ladders, or the bridges that extend, a little tricky. But Leuven seems to have almost no problem with it. So, you get across with only a little issue. You're able to find Auric, who has just finished staring at a wall that is scorched.
It was lightning!
It's starting to come together now. There's definitely something amiss.
Powerful lightning. High-level casting kind of lightning. This wasn't natural.
Lightning? What do you mean, lightning?
Well, wasn't there recently maybe a possibly very powerful thing maybe recently destroyed somehow, which would produce a lot of energy, maybe?
What do you mean, destroyed?
Looking more at Auric and Leuven, buys focus.
Oh, we have heard several townspeople comment on gaps in their memory that suddenly are coming back to them, and the name Bai is on their minds.
I cringe the first couple times her name is said.
We don't really know if focus was destroyed. Although, have either of you, and I'll look at Leuven and Dahlia, heard from any of the other townsfolk about this flying person that comes around and has supposedly been helping out the town?
Yeah, pretty full-on angelic from what it sounds like. Would have made a great painting subject, actually.
See me, raising my eyebrow. Angelic.
Yes, has been our savior in this town for almost a month now.
How often do you need saving in this town? You may need to think about relocating.
We have always had creatures in this town. There have been some that have become more violent lately, and those that have been even more dangerous. He seems to appear and be able to stop them, where we cannot.
How does he stop him? Does he slay the beasts?
He destroys them, banishes them. He has done much for us to help us during some rather difficult times. Many of us were feeling rather lost for those that were apparently being controlled.
Yeah, so I think some of the fire was fake, because places that should be scorched are not.
Something's not adding up. When these beasts come that this angelic figure protects you from, is anyone ever injured by them?
There are small injuries by them. The first to be injured was a half-orc friend, Thar. He had a wound across his leg.
Something feels amiss.
Maybe we should go back to Boulders and think this over.
Do these attacks happen with any kind of regularity? Is there any pattern, besides the angelic figure saving the day?
Other than the angelic figure, no.
Like it's not every 3 days, once every 10 day?
No, it seems to just happen every few days or so. Either an attack or one of our bridges went out with people nearly falling, and they were saved quickly.
Leuven, have you had an opportunity to try and see if there's residual magic in any of these locations? Maybe utilizing your detect magic?
I haven't. I should mention I do not have that prepared, but I could tomorrow. And if this happens every few days, if it's not going to be, another month before it happens again, we might as well stay in town and try and be there the moment it does.
Something definitely seems amiss. It's almost like somebody started swooping in after Bai left. I wonder if someone's trying to take advantage of the situation.
I do not know who would do that. I mean, we have people here just want to enjoy their lives and work hard to acquire the food, to feed ourselves, and then enjoy the evening to enjoy such food.
Auric and Leuven, is there any reason to stay in town? We could just stay outside of town, in the woods.
I want us to be closer than a few hours away, but if you want us to camp right outside, I don't see the issue with that.
Unless you wanted to try and do more investigation to see if perhaps the focus item is still here.
Yeah, that's actually part of why I want to be nearby, so I can come into town tomorrow, even if we're not here already, and do some searching.
I want to meet the dude. He might be a long-lost cousin or something of mine.
You are related to angels?
Loosely. Just like this guy, I'm loosely related to him.
We've got a pretty interesting family tree, and arm around shoulder, yeah.
You travel with very interesting friends, Auric.
It's kept life interesting, that's for sure.
I can imagine. Well, I know Isona and Kihana were asking after you disappeared.
Have they been doing well?
They have been doing fine. Feather and Remy are just as rambunctious as all little ones are.
Are they staying out of the woods?
As far as I know, for the most part. Isona has put the fear of Vumera in them.
Yeah, if we do stay, Dahlia, they have this great cook. Nice half-orc. It's named, I think, Grendo? Makes a great breakfast.
I do like food. I just don't know, from what I've heard, if this is the safest place, even though we've heard that things are better.
People here are aware of the issues now. We were not before. That is all I can tell you.
How long do you think it's been that she's not been around?
Shortly over a month.
Coping okay with that? Like, emotionally?
There are many that are just coping. It has been quite nice to have our savior around, to show that there is hope beyond all of this confusion.
I don't trust him.
If you wish, we know that Thar, the half-orc that was attacked in that first attack since Bai disappeared, he had first-hand experience with our savior. Perhaps he can give you more information.
I'd be interested in talking to this Thar. You said he sustained injuries?
Yes, his leg was injured in the attack. If you wish, I know that he has spent a good deal of time over the big child.
You think we might find him there now?
Perhaps, says he enjoys the cooking there.
Side note, Auric, I did run into Avelios here, and he'll also be at the Big Child if we go now. It's just, don't be alarmed, okay?
Yes, he was looking for all of you. Auric, since he knew that you had spent some time here, he did want to apologize for whatever actions he caused.
Very well. Lewin, are you opposed to us going over to the inn and see if we can find this person? Maybe we can get some leads.
No, I'm not. Avelios and I already had a bit of a heart-to-heart on it. I think we're on the mend.
And we could get some food. Priorities, guys.
It is almost time for our midday meal. I'm sure Grendo is preparing much food for many other people around. They always take care of people in emergencies like this. Good hearty meals are always very comforting after potential tragedies and disasters.
I give you a big grin.
Yeah, you've convinced me. Shall we?
Sure.
Auric, it is good to see you again.
I'll try and be by later. Check in on how you've progressed in your skill.
I have made some progress. I hope to impress you with what I've done.
I look forward to being impressed.
And that is where we're going to leave this episode for today. Leuven reflects on this adventure in a letter to one of his pen pals.
2. Isaac Havenblade. Orenthal. Vremer Empire. Nebersil Network Standard Shipping. From Leuven Cromdale. 19 and Chewy, year 322. Isaac, it's been a while since I've found the words to write you. I mean, not from your perspective, since you'll be getting all these letters at the same time, but still. A lot's happened on my end. I don't have a poem in me today. I've drafted at least a dozen over the past month or so, but none really do justice to what I need to share with you. Please don't freak out, but I died in the battle for Boulder's Lands. It was brief and all, and I'm alive now, but I realize that my adventuring life might make you nervous, and I'm sure this news doesn't help. You're probably also concerned about my emotional state, and it's been pretty rough lately, but there have been some amazing developments too. Check out these latest schematics of what I've been working on. Oh, and my cousin Dahlia arrived on my birthday, and Rumble Squad traveled to the elemental plane of Earth and met Zaratan. I'm making constant improvements as both an artificer and as an adventurer, and I can't wait to hear what has inspired you lately. Hopefully nothing quite as dramatic as death. I promise I'll have a poem for you next time. Yours, Leuven.
Thank you all for listening. Please share this with your friends and follow us on Twitter @RulesAsWritten, or check out our website, dndraw.com. And feel free to email any questions to me at dm@dndraw.com. Also subscribe and leave us a review or comment anywhere podcasts are found. And please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dndraw. I hope to see you all next time in the world of Ostia. If you enjoy the adventures of our characters in Ostia and our show about the rules for 5th edition, support us on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you will get exclusive content and updates. If you're interested in a look behind the curtain of how we keep track of all of our quests, we are going to be releasing our players' to-do list document for each session to all patrons going forward. This includes our plans for which characters need to have a heart-to-heart, what letters are they writing to family at home, and which NPCs can't be trusted. Beyond that, higher tiers get DM's notes, bloopers from our episodes, and to add an item or NPC to a D&D Raw episode. So we want to give a special shout out to our adventure tier and above patrons.
So thank you Waldron, Carol Morris, William McCracken, Ryan Rhea Vermette, Mike C., Naked and Afraid, Feral Joe, Jeremy Kleinons, and a Linux fan.
We are especially grateful to our producer tier patrons who listen to our audio before anyone else to give feedback and shape the final episode.
We want to give a special thanks to Christopher Reinhardt
for serving as a producer on this episode. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/DNDRaw.